All right, we're gonna go further now. Our next keynote is Fostering Global Collaboration, a new paradigm for data and digital ecosystems. Our first hello is going to be from Dr. Robert Habeck, Federal Minister for Economic Affairs and Climate Action from Germany. And this is going to be coming as a video message.
Distinguished Minister Ranne, Mr. Ahle, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation to this year's Gaia-X Summit in the lovely city of Helsinki. I'm glad to be able to speak to you virtually today. Over the last 5 years, a collective European and global project has sprung from the initial idea of Gaia-X, which came to life in 2019. Europe needs digital sovereignty. This need is growing more and more urgent in the light of the rapidly increasing importance of AI to the future competitiveness of Europe. Data ecosystems and high-performance digital infrastructure are an essential basis for the digital transition. Gaia-X has successfully triggered a key paradigm shift here, prompting us to move away from centralized approaches towards shared, federated and open systems. Systems that everyone can trust and where data can be exchanged in a sovereign and secure manner. Since its founding in September 2020, the Gaia-X European Association for Data and Cloud has amassed over 300 members from 30 countries. Even more members are networked in national Gaia-X hubs in over 20 countries across Europe and beyond. What has been key to the success of Gaia-X is its focus on achieving concrete implementation, the fruits of which are seen here today in many countries and in business, industrial and research projects. Gaia-X has been able to provide the core impetus to the development of innovative data ecosystems from Europe to the world. Solutions for new data-driven business models are currently being developed in a series of flagship projects. Examples of these include the globally focused Catena-X and Manufacturing-X projects, as well as projects that emerged from the German Gaia-X funding competition, such as Maryspace-X, Health-X, Dataloft, Team-X, Eurodat, and OpenGPT-X. Under the auspices of the Gaia-X Association, Gaia-X has been strongly focused on the establishment of a trust framework over the past 2 years. This is a testament to the strengths of the Gaia-X Association. Promising concepts for future success include a more intensive focus on users, provision of international standards that reflect European values, and the creation of added value for end-user companies so that the data ecosystems can develop in a quick and scalable manner. We need a strong community here, one that will enable solutions for competitiveness, sustainability and resilience of our economy to emerge. What has been achieved so far is certainly remarkable, but expectations remain high. For the federal government, Gaia-X continues to represent a basis for ongoing future initiatives. The federal government supports the creation of federated data spaces in various sectors, including manufacturing, energy, mobility, healthcare, and many more. It is collaborating closely with other countries and the European Commission to continue to offer this support. Gaia-X has met with widespread acceptance in Europe. It is supported by the European Commission, and Gaia-X members are involved in many EU projects where data is focused. One such project is the IPSAI Next Generation Cloud Infrastructure and Services, a key instrument of EU digital policy that is intended to strengthen the digital sovereignty of Europe. In other words, Gaia-X brings many different players together so that they can achieve more in concrete. In summary, it is clear that the core idea of Gaia-X, which is to create a federated data infrastructure where data can be exchanged in a trustworthy, sovereign and secure way, has been successful and has been both accepted and further developed by many initiatives. Gaia-X has a strong core brand and a role to play. Data spaces and even numerous ecosystems themselves are emerging in the many national and global projects and initiatives. But success can only be ensured if all players work together. And we have certainly laid the groundwork for this. With this in mind, I wish everyone a successful Gaia-X Summit in Helsinki and I'm looking forward for seeing increased market acceptance for data spaces based on federated data infrastructure in the coming months and years. All the best. Hi.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Next, we're actually going to be joined by the French Minister Delegate for Industry, Marc Ferracci, and he's also going to be joining us remotely.
Distinguished Minister Habeck, distinguished Minister Rana, Mr. Halle, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to speak to you today for this new Gaia-X Summit in Helsinki. This exciting event gives us the opportunity to discuss the progress we've made together towards a shared digital future. In recent years, the European Union has taken an important step towards implementing an ambitious and comprehensive data strategy, notably through the Data Governance Act and the Data Act. These new regulations will have no real impact without the strong mobilization of the European ecosystem, of which Gaia-X is the driving force. The ecosystem is striving to bring users and solution providers together around the key idea of data sharing. In this field, we all know that collaboration is essential. Collaboration is at the very heart of Gaia-X, and it's indeed crucial to its attractiveness and influence on the digital and industrial ecosystem. There is a tremendous collective energy within Gaia-X, and this collective energy has produced important deliverables for companies through the European Union, such as the Gaia-X policy rules, the Gaia-X Federation services, on which the European project Simple will be based, and most recently, the Gaia-X Digital Exchange Center. In addition, I would like to highlight some successful partnerships. Ag Data Hub, the data intermediation platform dedicated to the agricultural and agri-food sectors in France and Europe, whose entire technical architecture is now compliant with the de facto Gaia-X standards. Iona-X, which is dedicated to transport and mobility data, and which has found a successful application in the Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Prometheus in the field of education, Omega-X in the energy sector, and many more. New projects could also emerge in fields such as the aerospace industry and in the energy sector. Now, I'd like to stress that Europe must have a global vision. In such areas as data, it's critical. The good news is that global collaboration is part of the Gaia-X's DNA, especially with its hubs around the world. And indeed, remarkable progress has been made by European initiatives such as Manufacturing X, which has set up an international council to address global issues linked to the exploitation of industrial data spaces. We need collaboration, we need a global vision, and we need trust. Trust is the key to successful data-driven cooperation at a global level, where it is a prerequisite for business and security issues. Now is the time to look to the future and explore all the new opportunities that the new European regulation and the forthcoming adoption of a new data union strategy will bring to data sharing partnerships. I am convinced that these achievements will create the conditions for a stronger, more competitive and more innovative European Union in a global perspective. What we have here and now is a community with a collective mindset and a shared desire to work together to make better use of data and to facilitate its use for innovative purposes. I'm convinced that we now have solid assets to shape our common future in the digital and data economy. I wish you all a productive and pleasant summit. Thank you for listening.
All right, next up from the European Commission, we're joined by Piers O'Donoghue. He's Director, Future Networks Directorate for the DG CNECT. Please welcome Piers.
Thank you very much. First of all, is my tie straight? Good morning, and thank you very much. I would like to thank the Finnish government, and particularly Minister Rana, but all of her colleagues, as well as the Gaia-X Hub for organising this great event. It's good to be back, because we've been going through a period of transition in Brussels, which you might be aware of, and it's getting decidedly finish in Brussels. My new boss will be Finland's Henna Virkkunen, and she will be Executive Vice President for Tech Sovereignty, Security and Democracy. And that is a change, but it is also a period of transition that has allowed us to reflect on some of the key issues. And very seriously, as we heard from the Minister and Minister Rana, and echoed by our two previous speakers on video, it is at a very crucial time for EU's digital policy, and specifically for data. As we focus on some crucial political developments, some rather worrying at a geopolitical level, which show the salience of Ms. Virkkunen's new portfolio, but also, more importantly, the work that you are doing together in Gaia-X. Because while we may have spent a couple of months doing some navel gazing, it has brought a realization in Brussels, and you could see that in the hearings in the European Parliament, as to the importance of the data economy, the importance of resilience in Europe, tech sovereignty, and ability to work ahead with our global partners on digital technologies, data-based for the most part, but also to be able to do that on our own should geopolitical events mean that that happens. So that's what I wanted to impress on you most importantly, is that while we are refocusing, it is in some cases focusing even more on the work of companies in the data space, on data and digital ecosystems, and quite frankly on the work of Gaia-X, all of which are critical for Europe's competitiveness, and competitiveness is a key theme of the new Commission. But just looking back briefly, the mandate that has just finished, the European data strategy was already something that was our main driver towards unlocking the benefits of data for Europe's economy and society, creating a genuine single market for data, but also at the same time creating a global competitive capability in Europe. And central to that vision was and is the common European data spaces. Those enable data ecosystems to flourish, but also they power the technologies that we're introducing, whether it's work on the connectivity side, 5G, Internet of Things, but particularly now, of course, with the development, the rapid development of artificial intelligence, we just see how important the data spaces are and how the data ecosystems are. It's also something, as I keep saying, not just for the tech sector, not just for you nerds. It's actually for the entire European economy. Every sector can and needs to benefit from data technologies in order to increase productivity, drive down cost, and of course become more competitive. Now, we do compare ourselves to other parts of the world, but this is an area where Europe is leading, and I know how much that Gaia-X can contribute to that effort. On our side, as part of that strategy, we're contributing to the development of common European data spaces. We have at the moment 14 strategic domains. There are key industrial sectors like energy, agriculture, mobility, but also areas of public interest, including in particular health and skills. One of the tools that we have created with your full commitment is the Data Spaces Support Centre. Another, which was referred to just a few moments ago, is the simple open source middleware, which will create that safe European interlinking between data spaces, data ecosystems, and cloud infrastructures. And that constitutes part of the building blocks to be available for all European data spaces. We at EU level have invested over 500 million euros in the current multi-annual financial framework. And of course, there's been an awful lot of investment at the level of member states, from governments, and of course, from industry. So we've achieved a lot, but we can't be complacent. And I, for a start, don't want to get into too much self-congratulations, because there are definite challenges. We have to keep our eye on the ball, just as technology is increasingly rapid in its development, but also because of those geopolitical changes that I have spoken about. We have to ensure implementation. We have to actually now find and promote those concrete use cases, because that is where the rubber hits the road. So we have put in place a framework, but it can only work with your full engagement. And beyond you, those who are, I think, converted and committed. We have to be able to show the business case for those SMEs who are encouraged from us, by us, to share their data. But why? What is the benefit for them in real economic terms? What will it drive for their business? It's not enough just to talk about productivity of the sector. We actually have to talk about the benefits to individual companies and activities. But at the same time, we do impose some, what you might call, public policy criteria, which I know you understand. Security, cybersecurity, data security is, of course, the most important. But increasingly also, we have to impose environmental standards. But also we can show the benefits of cloud, the benefits of secure data spaces for safety and security, for the environment. If you just look at, for example, optimizing electrical vehicle charging through energy data spaces, that is something which is real and concrete for the individual, for the electric grids, but also, of course, for the environment. So it's by moving from theory to practice, by bringing along the economic sectors that you represent or are involved with, that we can grow end user adoption and actually create sustainability, create a self-financing model at the end of the day. But as we look towards 2030 and beyond, data processing will have to become even more latency critical. It will have to allow for applications in real time, close to the edge, data processing where data is generated, at the edge of the network. So that is already why in 2020 we forecast that having more and more data processed at the edge was an essential part. In 2024 we introduced a communication on our digital infrastructure at the start of this year, which focused also on moving out to the edge, creating those competitive systems for the processing of data in real time. So we've mobilized some of the investment opportunities. Some, however, have found difficulties. And we have also noticed that public administration is yet to be fully plugged into the challenges, but also more importantly, the benefits of data space, data technologies, and cloud computing. So that is something where, under our work with the member states, we're going to have to move forward. And it is clearly in the interests of all that the member states are fully involved. And that is why the important project of common European interest on next generation cloud infrastructure and services is so important. It's a first of its kind. It unlocks 1.2 billion euros of private investment, of public funding, but that in itself triggers another 1.4 billion of private investments. So that's an example of how, when governments and industry join their efforts, we can truly make a difference. Now, of course, again, we have to move to practical implementation. So we call on the governments to stick with it, but we also call on the private sector to increase its commitment to this work, which will give a European template for advanced computing technologies in the cloud and edge space in order to ensure that we can provide those advanced data services to our businesses across all sectors. Because the technology that comes from the IPCI is going to be able to correspond to the latest best-in-class technologies, but also, of course, to that high level of regulatory control which we impose on the markets with regard to data security, privacy, as well as cybersecurity and sustainability. So by designing something that is fit for purpose, that actually corresponds to the rules that we ourselves impose, we are providing tools to the European economy to thrive in the data ecosystem that we are creating. We have to look at further applications such as automated driving, telemedicine, and all of which will run on advanced systems. But where we have difficulties is in relation to the infrastructure on which this data processing takes place. And that is why now you will see in the mandate for Ms. Verkunen, but which the Commission will now focus on, it is critical that we actually have the cloud and compute and storage facilities which correlate directly to the needs of artificial intelligence so that we can indeed allow AI to fully benefit the European economy. We will need, from chips to high-speed processors, connectivity, cloud edge, software and AI to have a connected computing continuum that is European, that is robust, that is secure, but also where in the long term the investment case is clear for the private sector, because that is where so much of the money will have to come from. A collaborative approach, therefore, will benefit all and will allow us to go much further than the capacity for investment that Horizon Europe or the IPCEI provides us with. Finally, if I just look briefly again at what I was saying about what's happening in Brussels, but what will happen for us in the future, is that in the mission letter, which I'll speak a bit more about tomorrow, for our Vice President, there is a reflection of what was in the Draghi report with regard to the need for cloud, the need for computing capacity, but above all, the need to harness artificial intelligence. It is noticeable that the Draghi report recognizes the importance of cloud as an enabling technology, especially for AI. And that is something that you will see in the policies, particularly when we come to propose a Cloud and AI Development Act, which should actually seek to put that infrastructure in place and draw a clear line between the work that we are doing on data, the importance of data spaces, and actually allowing those to be connected to and to provide the processing services for the use of the data. Again, making it operational and making it real in economic terms. So, data spaces are now a key part of our AI strategy. That has always been evident, and still we see that some of the key breaks on AI development are the quality of data and even the availability of data, where we see that certain Gen AI models are being restricted in their further development through the lack of further available quality data. And that is something which can only be done by a concerted European effort on data spaces, on the quality of data, and on providing the incentives, the reasoning to individual data holders why they should but also need to provide their data, to put it into the data spaces and show them the benefits that they will derive from that. Now, of course, some of those initiatives depend on political issues. Some of them depend purely on the availability of finance and investment. And that is why it is so important for Gaia-X as an organization to make the case for investment at European and national level. Because one thing is clear, as we undertake steps towards a competitive, resilient, and inclusive digital future, industry must lead the way. Gaia-X is and will be an important example of that. And I look forward to learning more about your achievements, but also about your plans to actually deliver in concrete terms sustainable data spaces and a sustainable data ecosystem. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. That was very interesting. New beginnings are always fun. And I've heard Finnish women are the most delightful bosses. That's what I've been told. Following, our next speaker is going to be Director General Digital and Data Policy for the German Federal Ministry of Digital Affairs and Transport. Please welcome Mr. Benjamin Brake.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear Gaia-X community, allow me by starting to thank Piers for his insightful speech, and also, of course, our host and the Minister here for Digital and Transport, Mrs. Ranne. It's a great pleasure for me, actually, to attend the Gaia-X Summit here in Helsinki. I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Federal Minister for Digital and Transport in Germany, Mr. Volker Wissing. He would have loved to attend personally, but you might have heard that we have some, how should I say, challenges with our current government. We are here at the Gaia-X Summit to share ideas and drive digital transformation. If we are to remain competitive in a rapidly changing environment, it is imperative that we set right course for our digital future. That is why we should first consider some crucial questions. Where do we stand in Europe? Where do you want to go? What specific actions can we take to reach our goals? And what role do policymakers, such as myself, play in this process? So what is the digital reality in Europe? There's no doubt that Europe has immense potential, and I think Piers also elaborated on that. We have outstanding talent, highly skilled expert, innovative companies, and a vibrant startup scene. If we want to make the digital transformation a success for our business communities and societies, we will also face major challenges from global competition. We still struggle with too much red tape in the European Union. Too many rules are curbing the digital industry in Europe. Too many requirements are banning or hampering new developments instead of facilitating them. We are not thinking globally enough. We Europeans must not only keep a close eye on global competition, but we need to accept the challenge. So what kind of digital policy do we need? Europe needs a brave new digital policy to succeed in the dynamic digital environment. Our economic competitiveness crucially depends on our ability to successfully digitalize how our businesses are organized and take value. Companies will only be able to survive and thrive in the global economy by using state-of-the-art digital technologies, and I don't have to tell you this. In digital policy, our ultimate goal must be a digital single market that promotes innovation, facilitates market access, and enables growth. Only in this way, we can harness the diversity of our member states and the resulting ability of companies, large or small, to innovate. What is even more important, we need an ecosystem that not only enables innovation, but actively fosters them. This means more investment in research and development and closer cooperation between research institutions to ensure that we ease the transition from research to rollout. Within Europe, progress on business digitalization and transition from research to reality varies greatly. The European Commission for Germany not only confirms that we have achieved spectacular advances in the deployment of fiber optic networks. When it comes to business digitalization, Germany is also relatively well positioned. Cloud use is increasing and above the EU average rate. The same is true for year-on-year increase in AI use. So what have we achieved so far? Let's look at Europe with a positive angle. We have clearly defined rights and obligations of online platforms. Cybersecurity has improved significantly. We have strengthened data protection and, at the same time, established rules on fairness access to and the use of data with the Data Act. And last but not least, we have put in place rules governing artificial intelligence. And not only have we given ourselves rules, we also set common ambitious digital goals in the EU, which member states aim to achieve jointly as part of the digital transformation in the Digital Decade Program 2030. The Innovation Club, launched by Germany, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania last year, is another important initiative for the future EU digital policy. Together with our Baltic partners, we developed specific proposals for a new EU digital agenda back in May and submitted it to the Commission. They aim to advance our digital values and ideas and jointly enhance competitiveness. We have drawn up a list of demands entitled "Make it Simple" and submitted it to the Commission. One of its cornerstones is breaking down market barriers. We are calling for a truly complete digital single market, and we would like to see more pragmatism and, above all, more efficient procedures along the way. And this is especially true for a uniform enforcement of our acquis communautaire. It is now up to the new Commission to constructively address and implement these proposals. It is encouraging to see that some ideas for this are already taking shape. I would also like to mention the European Commission white paper on digital infrastructure. It contains proposals for boosting the competitiveness of the European Union, among other things. In this context, it is important to stress that we need a broader approach and not only a focus on the telco sector, and that market consolidation is to be market-driven and in compliance with competition laws. Only in this way we can ensure that companies of all sizes grow and be successful at international level. Only with this, innovation, investment, and consumer interests can be promoted. If we allow European companies, big or small, to grow and innovate, we would put in place the conditions to compete successfully at international level and make the digital transformation a European success. Please allow me now to speak briefly on the very foundation of the digital economy, and it was mentioned already by peers and also by Minister Ranne, the value of data. A functioning data economy is key for the digital transformation. Data spaces, such as the ones that are being developed in Europe in projects like Gaia-X, and the International Data Spaces Associations are crucial for secure and legally watertight data exchanges. Let me emphasize again that we must think globally. It is important for global business that data can flow as freely as possible. We want European AI businesses to be able to compete internationally. In Germany, our Mission AI, which we launched last year, will help to achieve this. The Mission AI Research and Development Project, one of the key projects of the German digital strategy, aims to make the German economy more competitive. The initiative broadly addresses the challenges of AI by expanding the database for AI innovations and promoting the development and growth of trustworthy, marketable AI solutions. The aim is to develop practical solutions and to promote the use and networking of data spaces. To achieve this goal, Mission AI is working closely with stakeholders from the Gaia-X environment. The Mobility Data Space, the MDS, is another good example of an innovative database solution for practical applications such as smart city planning. We must think holistically if we are to remain competitive. This is why the MDS is designed to be interoperable, and it is involved in European initiatives such as the European Mobility Data Space and Gaia-X. So finally, probably the most boring side to this, what role for policymakers to play? Policymakers must provide a clear and supporting framework that fosters innovation and entrepreneurial spirit. We must break down barriers that prevent companies from investing in innovative technologies. This not only entails promoting startups and public-private partnerships, but also creating a regulatory environment that facilitates investments in the digital technologies and enhances the transition from research to rollout. Companies of all sizes must be able to invest freely and boldly without being held back by unnecessary bureaucratic burdens. Ladies and gentlemen, we must all pull together to enhance our competitiveness. Governments, businesses, research institutes, and civil society must join forces in a cooperative partnership. Only in this way we can develop a digital policy that is robust and fit for our future. Let us harness the opportunities ahead and work together to develop digital policies that not only make Europe competitive, but also serve as a blueprint for the rest of the world. By investing in research and development and establishing a cooperative environment, we can ensure that Europe will become a leader in technology development. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that you will enjoy the next inspiring 2 days. Thank you.